everybody, it is Wednesday evening. It's time to recap what happened today and talk about the next handful of days here on Weather for Weather Geeks, the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video. Forecasting the weather has been a challenge this week, that is for sure. I opined on our live streaming coverage this evening that, boy, the models have been lousy this week. Not all that unusual in this kind of a pattern where you have little ripples in the jet stream and very subtle features and storms forming in the upper Midwest and cascading southward and eastward. Sometimes the models really struggle with this, and that has been the case this week, and that has made it so it's been really hard to time these storms and talk about, with any degree of accuracy, the coverage of these storms. It's just been more of a nowcast situation than a forecasting situation, because what's going to happen 12 or 18 hours from now has been more of a mystery than usual this week. Now, we had two rounds of storms today. One midday, one this evening. The midday storm, or complex of storms, actually caused more problems for us locally than the evening one. Even though the evening one looked a lot worse before it got here, it actually weakened some as it moved through our TV viewing area. The storms from midday today caused some power outages and tree damage here and there. Here's just one example along Route 9 near New Garden in Columbiana County. Some trees reported down there. And this evening, I haven't heard of a lot of serious damage in our area. Thanks to everyone for sending the pictures and the reports along. I've seen some minor tree damage, some smaller trees, a few limbs here and there, maybe a medium-sized tree here and there. And while all of that is not something we want, of course, we managed to avoid a big-ticket severe weather outbreak this evening. All thanks, I think, mostly to the midday round of showers and storms, which served to kind of stabilize the atmosphere for a lot of the afternoon. We had rain-cooled air a lot of the afternoon, while the atmosphere did destabilize enough to maintain that line pretty well into our area. The deeper it got into our TV viewing area, the harder time it had sticking together, because we did not have temperatures in the upper 80s in most of our area this afternoon. Temperatures topped out in the mid-80s before the first round of storms, and then only recovered to the upper 70s to around 80 in most spots this afternoon. So again, could have been worse this evening. Now, the radar was pretty intimidating for a time. Between 5:30 and 6:30 this evening, these brighter red colors, the data loads here, these brighter reds and yellows. This is the velocity data off the Cleveland radar, and 60, 70 mile per hour winds were observed up near Cleveland and into Ashtabula County, Crawford County, PA as well. And while we did see some 60 mile per hour winds shown on the radar as this descended into Trumbull, I think as the storms got farther and farther away from the radar beam, or the radar site, I should say, the beam was sampling the storm higher and higher up, and the storms were undergoing a weakening process. So while the wind aloft was still that strong, as the storm started to weaken some, they had a harder time bringing down those extreme winds from upstairs in the atmosphere a little bit. So that's why I don't think we saw the kind of wind damage and power outage problems around here as we did in places like Cleveland and Akron and Mansfield and up towards Ashtabula and into the Erie and Crawford County, PA region. All right, radar as of, what time is it, 8:20 p.m.? Our line continuing to fall apart as it pushes to the east. Not much more than a stray shower. Now, as we head through the overnight, a couple of things to watch. No surprise, stuff to our north and west. Bears watching. This has been the setup for the last few evenings. Storms blow up out here and eventually go like this. And then the next day they impact our area. Tornado watch probably discontinued soon in Wisconsin, but heavy storms are pushing into western Michigan, again, as of about 8:20 p.m. Our high-res modeling, which, again, take it with a grain of salt because it hasn't done very well. Actually, I think it has kind of a reasonable idea for the overnight, showing a weakening line of showers and storms trying to push back in towards daybreak tomorrow morning. 6, 7, 8 o'clock. At this point, odds do not favor this being a big-ticket item, but we might wake up to a kind of a broken line of showers and storms, something that, again, we'll keep an eye on the trends this evening, but as of right now, not overly concerned with it. Now, there can be some breaks in the clouds at times tonight. Hopefully we get some decent breaks, because overnight we actually have one of the better meteor showers of the year reaching its peak. It's the Perseid meteor shower. It's a fan favorite because it occurs in the summertime. We have some pretty good meteor showers in the winter, but, you know, telling people to bundle up and go stand outside at 1 in the morning to watch meteors sometimes is, doesn't really interest a lot of people. But the Perseids is the best summertime meteor shower, peaking tonight in more urban areas where there's more light pollution, you might see up to 10 if the sky's clear. You might see up to 10 per hour. In rural areas, away from the light pollution, where the sky is dark enough, you might see 50 or so meteors per hour. But of course, the clouds have to cooperate. It's not great that we have such a muggy air mass that provides some haze in the air. It'd be nice if we had a real dry air mass. But again, if you're a meteor fan and you have a clear enough sky overhead, especially overnight, past midnight and towards 3, 4, 5 in the morning, decent chance to see some meteors, and several of them, in fact, if the clouds clear out enough. All right, tomorrow, 2 big weather stories. 1 heat, 1 storms. Let's talk about the heat first. Or 2 storms, I should say. Heat advisories are out for central and southwest Ohio. Excessive heat watches and warnings for the East Coast. No heat products out for northern Ohio and western PA as of yet. The Weather Service was not confident enough in the thunderstorm situation tomorrow to issue a heat advisory. Now, in our part of the country, a heat advisory is usually issued when the heat index is expected to be about 100 or so. That heat index getting that high tomorrow will depend on if we get any storms short-circuiting the warm-up. In other words, kind of like the last couple of days, we get storms around lunchtime, it's not going to get hot enough for a heat advisory. If we stay dry and fairly sunny into the first part of the afternoon, temperatures will be off to the races tomorrow. In fact, flirting with a record. Tomorrow's forecast is 93, the record's 94, and the heat index, if it stays dry and sunny enough, could get up to 100. Now, this is just one run of our in-house model. It's the most recent run. It has the heat index peaking in the mid-90s in a lot of places in the afternoon because it has a couple of storms firing up before the afternoon is through. So, again, if we stay dry, really hot. If we see hit-or-miss storms firing up too early, then it won't get that hot, but it'll still be really, really humid with dew points in the lower 70s. All right. Storm Prediction Center outlook for day 2, that is Thursday. Kind of a similar setup to the last couple of days. Very weak weather disturbance aloft, but a very unstable air mass overhead. Especially if we stay fairly sunny most of the morning into the midday. Super unstable air mass with temperatures in the lower 90s and dew points in the 70s. Right now it looks like the highest risk of severe weather is over western New York, northern PA, but it's still elevated enough around here that we have to pay attention to it. At this point, I think the best chance for heavy gusty storms would be pretty late in the afternoon into the early evening, but I'm not going to be surprised if we have some renegade showers and storms that try to pop up again around the midday hours. Not a high confidence thing, but it's something that can't be ruled out. The day 3 outlook for severe weather on Friday shows low-end risk from New England westward. There's going to be a slight risk introduced somewhere in here when this becomes the day 2 outlook tomorrow. Whether it catches our area or not, I'm not sure, but somewhere within this green area, we'll get a yellow area tomorrow when this becomes day 2. That's because a cold front's heading our way. Pretty good chance of a few rounds of showers and storms on Friday. Now, again, this is just one run of one model. It has a fairly sunny forecast until about 1 or 2, a couple of pop-up storms at that point, and then perhaps some loosely organized storms late in the day. Don't take this as gospel, though, because it's just one model run. But higher confidence that Friday will be a little bit cloudier at times, and we could see showers and storms coming and going with a chance for some severe weather. And then finally, the front pushes through. And while we could see a shower lingering up through about 6 a.m., maybe 7 a.m. Saturday morning, by the afternoon, the sun will be out, the dew points will be coming down. It's going to be fantastic outside. Great weekend weather. Upper 70s to around 80 Saturday and Sunday. Not that hot early next week, a little bit above average by midweek, and we'll start to see some chances for some spotty showers and storms. Thanks for sticking with me on this long edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you back here on Thursday when we've got plenty more to talk about, I'm sure.